Hi friends, today we're going to look at shading, particularly in this portrait. So I'm grabbing my 6B, my 4B, and my 2B, which are my shading pencils, and those are the only ones I should be using for shading. So now I'm looking carefully at my picture. I've got my grid and my image. I'm looking at where is it the darkest, and I'm starting out with the darkest shades and kind of just lightly placing in those darks. So I'm really looking closely at the photo. I'm just focusing on that one little square at a time, and I'm kind of placing some darks where I think that they will go, leaving that little highlight in the eyeball. And here I'm using my 6B, and then you'll see in a moment I will grab my blender and really start to blend it out. So one thing that is super important when it comes to realistic drawing is having a really good range of values. So having pure black, pure white, and kind of all of the in-between ranges. If you don't use those nice dark pencils, you end up with sort of a really light portrait that doesn't have a ton of depth to it. It doesn't look as realistic as it does when you really get those darks. So you see now I'm just blending from where I put the dark into the top of the eyelid because I notice it's a bit lighter up there. I'm using the graphite that is already on my blending stick to blend. I'm not even adding any more pencil right now. And I'm noticing in the picture his eye is a bit darker underneath. And then we'll figure out what his skin tone will be in a moment. I'm going to blend a little bit over where the eyebrow goes just so I have a nice kind of base before I place the dark eyebrow. I'm noticing there's a little highlight there, so now I'm going to erase to get that highlight before I put the eyebrow in. So you want to play around with your darks and your lights. And now I'm using my 4B, doing lines in the same direction of his eyebrow to try to get that shape again. Alright. So now I'm just going to pop a little bit of shading above because I want to make sure I'm filling in the whole area of his face. I'm noticing on the top of his ear it's quite dark, so I'm going to add that right there and follow that line all the way down on the side of his face. And then just so his face looks round, I'm going to make sure I really make the edge of his face a bit darker. So notice I put some pencil. Now I'm just blending that pencil right in to give myself a middle tone. So now what I'm doing is using the extra graphite that's on my blending stick to get that lighter area of his face. So if you look at that square, that is pretty much the lightest spot of his face, but it's not going to be pure white because we need to save pure white for things like the inside of his eyes. So I'm grabbing my 2B right now and I'm using it on the side of the pencil, not the point. And I'm lightly shading in some 2B on the edge and kind of also on the edge of his nose a little bit. And then I am blending and smoothing and going in that circular motion with my blending so that it really looks smooth. So you shouldn't have any visible streaky lines after this point, and as long as you're using your 2, 4, and 6B, you will not have any streaky lines. And so we're blending, we're kind of going in that circular motion again. There we go. And I'm noticing that his nose kind of has a little shadow on it, not much, so I don't want to overdo it there. And now I know I have to darken that edge. He has a little bit of facial hair there, and also it's the side of his face. And if I don't darken it, it's not going to look round or realistic. So I'm adding a little bit of 6B to the edge, and I actually noticed I needed to darken that little crease by his eye. So 6B on the edge, and now I'm circular blending that in towards what I have left. So friends, if you notice, it took me over 5 minutes just to shade one little section. And I'm probably not even fully finished with that section. I might come back and finish it and add more to it later. So really, it's about patience, it's about taking your time, and it's about getting a nice, good range of dark and range of light. So the only thing left white in your page might be the inside of eyes, but that should really be about it. Maybe some teeth. And this technique works with any type of drawing, whether it's a portrait, whether it's a still life, just really, really continuing to go back in and add more pencil on top of what you've already added and blended, so you end up with a really nice range of values. And I hope that helps.